Guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. This is a channel where I make any content horror related, so subscribe and like that like button to get more horror content in the future. So let's get into it. Killer clowns are a classic staple of all horror media. Being, for some reason, known as scary, I don't really know. I don't really find them that scary, but, there's a lot of them in primarily movies. I think we're only going to be touching upon movies, meaning no Twisty the Clown, mainly because I'm not watching 13-hour episodes of American Horror Story. I'm sorry, that's too much effort for this video. But we'll be covering 9 clowns today that I'll be getting into after I say the rules. First of all, no weird gimmicks for... Oh, this is a killer clown death battle, just to mention that. But first of all, no weird gimmicks the way they die. I'm just basing it off of, power, how powerful they are. So basically, what can they withstand and what can they do to their enemy? So basically, Art the Clown can only die to a specific sword and a specific person. We're going to be taking that away and just looking at what's the most powerful thing he tanks in his movies and what's the most powerful thing he does in his movies to see how that translates over to something, over to, another character. Same thing with, Pennywise and, Stitches the Clown and everybody that I'm going to be covering, because they usually have weird gimmicks. And that's really all the rules. I'm permitting them to having only 3 weapons, and it's just going to be their 3 most powerful weapons they use in all of the franchise. And, yeah, I'm just going to be covering all of that. And so let's get into the clowns. So this is in no particular order, but the clowns we're going to be talking about today is Pennywise from the 2017 film, and of course its sequel, Pennywise from the 1980 miniseries, Art the Clown, not Stitches the Clown, Stitches the Clown, Killjoy, Jack Attack, the Clown from Poltergeist, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But we're just going to be combining everything that a killer clown has done and putting it into one overall, super powerful clown. Kind of like the main character from, the big boss fight, but, it's going to be smaller. We'll also be covering the final clown we're going to be talking about, which is Captain Spaulding. So, these 9 clowns, if they went into a one-on-one death battle, who would win? So, let's get into it. Alright, so 9th place is pretty easily the clown doll from Poltergeist, and I'm just going to play this one scene to prove my entire point. Yeah, so that's kind of just all the proof I need for him being the weakest clown, but let's get into the 8th weakest clown, which I'll actually be talking about. I just was putting that clown doll into it just for, an easy 9th spot. The 8th most powerful clown is pretty easily, it's Jack Attack from the Demonic Toy series. So we're just immediately knocking out the 2 clown puppets. And the reason Jack Attack is, in second to last is not because he's weak, I'd say. It's just that everybody else is more powerful than him. Even Captain Spaulding, which is just a regular guy in a clown suit, which I think he's the only regular guy out of all of them, is more powerful because Jack Attack gets cut in half and punched, and he gets his head punched off in one of the movies. So he gets killed 3 times in the, I think, 3 movies he's in. So he gets killed in every single movie he's in, I'm pretty sure. And it's all by a regular Joe Schmo, which Captain Spaulding, his only competition for being second to last, can kill a regular Joe Schmo, like we see in literally the beginning of his first film that he's in. So, overall, Jack Attack, while not being the weakest, he can bite off people's arms if he gets a sneak attack on them. This is just an arena fight, so I think it's pretty easily Jack Attack being 8th place. Coming in at 7th, we have my personal favorite clown, which is Mr. himself. I think he's a great clown, but his main weakness is being a regular guy that has gotten kidnapped and almost beaten to death in one of his films. So he is pretty powerful. He knocks someone out in one headbutt, which is probably his most impressive feat. But with people like Pennywise, which can tank metal bars to their face and head and mouth and basically every part on their body, and also just like eat off people's faces in one nice gulp, he doesn't really stand much of a chance. Also, only having really a gun that he uses in his films kind of also takes away some of his chances. But overall, the third most powerful so far, just really shoved down by him just being, a normal guy. And then it gets a little bit supernatural with the number 6 spot being... Number 6 spot is my absolute goats, the killer clowns from outer space. And the only real reason they're in this spot is not because of anything that they can do against the people. It's really just that they can withstand the least amount of power hit against them in the movie. Because, of course, they can die by getting their nose popped, but remember I said that none, special weird gimmicks apply. But overall, the only thing they really tank is, I'm pretty sure a gunshot in one of the movies, in one of the parts of the movie, and also just getting run over by a car. And they can throw acid pies, which can probably disintegrate Art, but I feel like if Art just, got a hold of them, if any of them really got a hold of them, then, they could pretty easily get killed. Because this one's, pretty hard to place, because they can kill some guys, and then some guys they can't kill. So, overall, I'm just going to put them in this place, because, the killer clowns from outer space, they're still really powerful, but they just don't, have as much dodging ability and all that. So, they're sadly going in 6th place. Next up, breaking the top 5, we have Pennywise from the 1980s miniseries, and this is also just not being able to withstand that much power. New Pennywise has more... No, I don't think... Yeah, it does have... No, yeah, he does have more content. He has 5 hours of content, which is not as much as, only having 3 hours. So he just, gets more beat up. He gets rods shoved in him everywhere, like I said before. And, overall, just more of, a tussle and gets to show more of what he can do. This was kind of tied with Stitches the Clown, because they can both really do the same stuff, but Stitches just kills more teenagers. And sure, that does say Pennywise can cause village-wide destruction, but that's back in the 1800s when everybody was dumb and stinky and gross and weak. So, I don't really know. But Stitches can just tank more, really is the problem. And he can rip off arms and stuff. And even though Pennywise can bite stuff, I still think Stitches could put up a better fight with the more arsenal of weapons he has. Oh gosh, that voice crack was crazy. Well, okay, getting on to number 4 spot, we have, of course, Stitches the Clown. Like I said before, this was kind of a tie, but Stitches is just, shown more and has more, stuff you can use. I just already said that, but, yeah. These two, you can really just take it or lose it, or take it or leave it, because, either spot is fine. If Stitches is in 4 and Pennywise 1980s is in 5, or let's switch it around, it's fine. And number 3, and coming in the 3rd spot, the bronze medal, we have the pretty easily the new Pennywise, which I have mentioned him so much in this video that it's pretty basic on what I have to say even more. He really is just a buffed up original Pennywise because of the longer runtime, and he gets so unbelievably beaten and tattered. He gets freaking tag teamed by 4 different kids, and sure, he does get hurt, but 4 kids basically is equivalent to 2.5 grown men. So no, it was not 4 kids, sorry, it was 7 kids. So it's basically 4 grown men absolutely harassing this guy, just absolutely beating him up, and he gets freaking beating up metal stuff, so he absolutely gets destroyed, but he still survives that, meaning that, he's very powerful, and he can easily bite off children's hands and heads and arms, which it means at least he has about 300 P of bite force, and with his deadlights he has, it can just lock you in a trance, making you be able to not move. So overall, he is an absolute beefy boy that, is a complete demon. And I forgot to mention this, we're not counting any transformation of Pennywise that is not his clown version, because that is just overall in the area of it and not just being Pennywise. So I'm only counting the powers of what happens when he's in his form of it. So none of that like scary painting lady stuff. Or I wouldn't even count the giant spider being part of Pennywise, because that's like, he's not officially called Pennywise. That's just like a whole nother thing. But yeah, other than that, I just think like he's very powerful and absolutely deserves this 3rd place spot. In coming in on 2nd place, we have the silver medalist, which I think that most of y'all thought would be 1st place, Art the Clown. Art the Clown is insanely powerful and messed up. He can survive getting his head chopped off without any damage to it. He can get shot a bunch and be okay. He gets hurt by getting kicked in the balls, which can be an easy like strategy, you know. But he gets beat up so much in this movie, and he kills so many people. He's basically mastered every single weapon you can have. And since I said it's a limit to 3 weapons, if you just give him like any gun, a knife, and like, I don't know, his freaking flamethrower, then he can easily knock out any of these people, especially Captain Spaulding and the 2 puppets I said in the last 3rd place. He could easily 3v1 them. He could I bet he could freaking 2v1 the 2 Pennywises and probably still go out on top. Yeah, he's just an absolute beefcake with so much weapons in his arsenal and so much twisted stuff he's done in the movie, that I think it's like pretty easily in 2nd place. But that still doesn't mean he's 1st place, because in 1st place, we have probably the most unknown clown on this entire list, being Killjoy, the afro-wearing clown. This is a absolute beefcake when it comes to clowns with powers. He has so many gimmicks up his sleeve with his hammer that can literally kill like anybody and anything. It squashes a man just completely whole, basically like destroying any of these other clowns' entire bodies. And he just like, he can throw people around with like his mind and all that, and it's just like he can do literally anything, and he's so overpowered, it's unbearable. In the 1st movie, it's not that bad, but when the more movies come up, the 4th one doesn't really have to play a role in this because he's like barely in that one. But in the 2nd and the 3rd one, he's like has so many powers that it's crazy. Also, he can only die from this puppet that like this puppet that if you kill it, then you know he dies too. But of course, I'm not putting that into the rankings. But he like tanks 22 bullets from a pistol. He tanks like all of these different knife attacks, and just like basically anything you throw at him, he can immediately destroy. He can also just make people spontaneously burst into flames and evaporate. And he just has so much stuff up his sleeve that it's kind of crazy. And he just can't die, basically. I don't really know, like, how Art the Clown would kill him. And even if they fought forever, like keep on fighting until, like, you know, the sun explodes, I still think Killjoy would have done more damage to Art by the time that, you know, they both come to their death. So yeah, I feel like Killjoy doesn't easily take this because Art is pretty overpowered. But, I mean, I don't know. I might be proven wrong in the 4th Terrifier movie. But, you know, for now, I feel like Killjoy is actually the most powerful killer clown out of these 9. But if we're talking about gimmick powers, then Art easily sweeps this. And, you know, Pennywise is easily in 2nd. The whole list would change up if we're talking about gimmicks. But I feel like that's a little bit less fun, because then, like, all of them have like special items tied to their life source. Like I think like almost all of these do, and I feel like it'd just be more fun if we're just looking at like how much damage they can tank. And you know, I already said all this, but anyways, that's my overall thoughts on how powerful these killer clowns are. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Tell me how horribly wrong I am in the comment section, or how amazingly right I am. Of course, you know how you should, because I'm always right. But yeah, other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.